Hi friends, I am Alex Aldridge. I am a band director and band instrument repair technician. Today we're going to be replacing the cork on a bass clarinet mouthpiece. This same method applies to B-flat clarinets, mouthpieces, as well as the tenon joints on bass clarinet or soprano B-flat clarinet. The tools you're going to need for this repair are, of course, the mouthpiece that you're replacing cork on, a razor blade, a straight edge, a pair of slip joint pliers, your contact cement, which is your glue, the sheet cork that you're going to be replacing the old cork with, a little bit of sandpaper. This comes in a strip. You can get it at Harbor Freight or wherever. And, of course, cork grease. Those are the things that you need. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that pair of slip joint pliers on its openmost setting and place it gently around the cork bed there. And I'm just going to rotate back and forth to get off any remaining cork that may still be there. Okay, that doesn't take me long. I just don't want to have any lumps. It doesn't have to be perfect. You'll see there'll still be some dust and whatnot. Our next step after removing all of the old cork is to repair our new cork. I did not list these as a tool, but if you have your cork sitting around for a while, maybe it's been sitting in your toolbox or in your desk for a while, it may be kind of brittle. If that's the case, before you attempt to use it, you may want to spritz it with some water. Or you can use a mallet, place it on the desk, and beat it with a mallet to actually kind of tenderize it a little bit. Otherwise, if it's been sitting and it's really dry, it may crack instead of roll around when you need it to. Assuming your cork is all good to go and in decent shape, we're going to take our tenon that we're replacing the cork on. We're going to take our cork. We're going to place it into that cork bed. You can see there's that recessed portion right here. That's the cork bed where the cork wants to live. So we're going to place it up against that edge on one side. And then we're going to use our razor blade to notch where that ends on the other side. So we're just putting a notch in there as a reference point. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm setting it up against the cork bed here on that edge. And now I'm going to roll my razor blade around into that other side there. And that just gives me a reference point right there. So you can see I've just got a little reference point on both sides. I'm now going to take my straight edge and place it on top of that cork and line up those two edges, and then use that to cut my strip of cork. So there we go. Now I have my strip of cork, but I'm not quite done with it yet. I'm now going to I'll hold it up here just for demonstration purposes. I would do this on my desk or on my workbench. So now I need to bevel one end of this cork. So I'm going to take my razor blade at an angle, very carefully. Like I said, normally this would be on the desk, and I'm going to cut at an angle like so. So now the end of my cork is at a slope. That's going to make the glue up much better. Now we're ready for the glue. This is contact cement. You can get it at Home Depot or Lowe's. So I'm going to apply a thin coat on to that little beveled edge, like so. And then so that's the top side, and then on the entire back side of this cork. I'm going to set that down to start drying. I'm going to do the same with my mouthpiece all around that cork bed. And now once the glue is applied, now we wait until the glue is almost dry and tacky all the way around. It shouldn't, my gauge is when it stops being shiny, is about the time that it's ready to be applied. Now that we've got the cork and mouthpiece glue applied and it's mostly dry, we're going to take that beveled side, and we're going to apply it to the mouthpiece. Now it doesn't really matter, but we're going to apply it here in the center where the reed opening is, because this is what we consider the back of the mouthpiece, so it's less visible. So we're going to start there and apply it all the way around the mouthpiece in that cork bed, making sure it stays lined up with that cork bed all the way around. Just pressing as I go. And then right there at the end, it's going to overlap So I'm going to get that pressed down, really seated, get that glue to really bond to itself all the way around. I'm going to take that last little bit right there, and I'm going to use my razor blade to trim it off. So that's trimmed off my excess. Now that we have the cork applied and we've given it a moment to set, now we need to get rid of that little lump right there in the cork and get it fitted for the instrument. In this case, because it's a bass clarinet, it's to the neck. If it were a B-flat clarinet, it would be to the barrel. So I'm going to take a strip of sandpaper, I think this is 80 grit, and I'm going to lay it over top and just run it across. Just that raised up ridge is my first step to get rid of that lump. And once that is taken down smooth, you can see there's no longer a lump there, I can start checking and seeing. So I can tell it's almost wanting to go on. I don't have much to take off. It might be more on a B-flat clarinet. So I'm just going to take my cork and work my way around with the sandpaper all the way around that leading edge. So we have a little taper, makes it want to fit together a little nicer. And then I'll check again, and that feels pretty close for me. You might need to take more off depending on the size of the mouthpiece and the size of the barrel, or in this case, once I've sanded that smooth and I think it's close to fitting, I'm going to apply my cork grease all the way around the cork. Nice thin coat all the way around. Rub it in a little. Now I can check final fit, and it fits up really nicely. And then, especially if this is the first time I'm using this, I'm going to let that sit in whatever it's going into, in this case into the neck, and I'm going to let it sit for a while and let that cork compress and fit up the way it wants to really nicely, and then it'll be ready to go in just a few minutes.